Seeing is believing.
How many examples of black love are on a media platform of any kind?
Can you name one?
How hard did you have to think about one before it popped into your brain?
How many examples of black leadership are on a media platform of any kind?
Can you name one?
Now, can you name another?
How hard did you have to think of one before it popped into your brain?
This is what brings us to the reason we are here.
How many examples of black wisdom are on a media platform of any kind?
Can you name one?
Now, can you name another?
Now, can you name one where the wisdom is focused on something
Other than pop culture?
Or hip hop?
Or battle rap?
Seeing is believing.
blindness is the sickness?
Wisdom is the medicine.
We are restorers of faith.
Solutions over problems.
What needs to happen?
What needs to happen?
What needs to happen?
A lot of cats ask me if this story is true. It is.
Once upon a time in the days of low fades, I was on the block with Claude and my man Hayes, 199th Street between Jamaica Ave and the Hill. And I'm asking my brothers to chill, but they won't chill. They like money and hood fame. My man Hayes has on a big ass gold chain. Only problem is it isn't his. The chain belongs to his cousin, who is deep in the drug biz. Hayes wants to take a ride, but for nothing more to take the chain on the ride like it's on tour. Now we're riding dirty in Claude's car, stunting and fronting like wannabe rock stars, with the windows down and the system turned up, bringing attention to ourselves, not giving a fuck, walking in spots, giving props and giving dap to grimy ass cats who sell crack where they rest at. Unwise. Being a follower will get you killed. Following against your will, going against your gut, following these nuts will get your ass stuck up. Yeah, being a follower will get you killed. Following against your will, listen to the voice inside, take it in stride, and you just might stay alive. I'm on the block paying attention to facial expressions, and each one says that they're gonna get him. The gold chain is looking like shark's bait. The shark's on the corner and live.
Today we got some disturbing news about some health issues going on with a friend of ours. I'd like to send out healing vibes and prayers to the family, to the King family. We're with you, Sean. We're praying for you, and we love you, buddy.
The month was like every other summer month in Chicago. It was hot, and the shower I took was cooling. While showering, I did a self-breast exam, and I felt something in my right breast. I shrugged it off and thought to myself, I'll double check when I get dressed. I laid on the bed and did what I do every month and gave myself a self-breast exam. Only this time, it wasn't like I'd done it every other time I've done it before, since I was 16. I actually felt something. I remember thinking to myself, did I really feel something? I don't think so. I must have done the test wrong. Let me do it again. After doing the test 10 times, I thought to myself, what have I done wrong? Let me ask God what it is that's going on. I remember thinking, if this is cancer, it will be all bad. So what do you think I did? Yep. I called my mom in California. I needed her assurance to tell me that it wasn't what God had already told me it was. I was in denial. My mom always told me not to ask questions I didn't want the answers to. While I heard the answer, I just pushed it aside. I remember talking to my mom and asking her to give me the answer I wanted to hear. I didn't want this to be something I couldn't recover from. It was scary. I think that I got to a point where I was so nervous and anxious about it, I was shaking, near to hyperventilation. My mom had to tell me to calm down. Take a breath. It may not be what you think. Call the doctor, make an appointment. So I did. I called my doctor's office. They did what they normally do. Take my general patient information, ask me what's going on. The woman was really very kind, very professional, but she tried to give me an appointment for a month away. I remember thinking to myself, is she for real? I'm supposed to wait a month before I find out about something I know is not supposed to be in my body? I said, nope, can't do it. She got me an appointment within the week. I have to tell you, it was scary. But I went to the appointment. It was shocking though. There were so many women there trying to get a test for a lump they found. I ended up talking to, I don't know, probably 5 or 10 women. And they said, honey, it's probably nothing. You're not even in your 40s yet. You haven't even hit 40. It's probably just a cyst or fatty tissue. That's all they said ever happens to them. They're like regulars, kind of like Cheers. It was kind of weird. But it made me feel a little bit better. I went in, took my test. The doctor came out and said, you know, it's probably not cancer. I've diagnosed it hundreds of times. I've even diagnosed my mom. You probably didn't do your test right. Everyone thinks that they're doing it right and they press too hard. It's usually fatty tissue. Sometimes people press so hard, it's to the bone what they're feeling. I told her, I know what I'm doing. I've been doing it most of my life. I know there's something there that's not supposed to be there. So you've got to do something. So she went ahead and signed me up for my mammogram. I had it done. 7 days is a really long time to wait for information that could be life-altering. But I waited. 7 days came. I didn't get the answer I wanted. They said, your test was inconclusive. We need you to come in. We need a better look. So I thought to myself, okay, doesn't mean I have it. But I already knew in the back of my mind, because God already told me, you have cancer. It's not going to be a problem. Do what you need to do. But I'll let you find out. I didn't want to listen though. I called my mom, told her I had an appointment for 2 weeks later. Her and my dad came within a week, flew to Chicago. I was so relieved because I needed my mom. I was so scared. She went with me to the appointment. I remember thinking when I went in there, this is going to be okay. My mom is here. I know I'll be fine. So I went to have the mammogram. It came back inconclusive. They had me go to an ultrasound. Okay, I can handle it. The tech was great. We laughed and giggled, talked about all kinds of stuff. And then I noticed she stopped talking. So I turned my head to the side to look at her. She was looking at the screen, and for a half a second, her face went blank. And then she put back on the face she had when I came in. And she excused herself and said she needed to get the doctor to come in to take a better look. I turned my head back and started looking at the ceiling. I knew right then it was what God said it was. The doctor came in, took a look at the screen. Then he told me, I'm not sure what it is. It could be a tumor that's cancerous, but we won't know until we go in. We've got to go in. But if you want, we can wait and see what happens in a couple months. And I looked at him and I thought, are you crazy? You want to see if something grows? I don't think so. Get me in. So he did. Set the appointment. My mom went with me. I was so happy to have her there. I remember the doctor telling me, I'm going to have you talk to the surgeon that's going to do the procedure. And I thought, okay. Looked at my mom. No big deal. We could do it. got to the doctor's office. The surgeon was a surgical oncologist. I was like, why am I talking to a cancer surgeon if I'm just finding out? It was scary. But I have to say, she was fantastic. She explained everything to me. She didn't talk to me like I had it, but she wanted me to be prepared. She gave me the information and then told me to research on my own so I would get comfortable with the terminology and all the things possible out there. It was overwhelming, to say the least. There's so much information out there. I couldn't even absorb it. But I thought, you know what? My mom is here. It'll be fine. We went and I did the surgery. I remember coming to from recovery. My mom was sitting there. I was so glad to see her face. She was smiling. And then the surgeon came back. And she was smiling too. So I thought, oh my God, this is great. She told me how great I did in the surgery. The procedure went wonderful. And then, bam, she says, but it's cancer. And I remember my face fell to the floor. My eyes were filled with pools of tears. They just started rolling down my face. I couldn't say anything. I was just like looking at her with rivers of water running down my face. And then I turned to look at my mom. She had tears in her eyes, but she said, baby, it'll be okay. We're going to pray about it. And I said, okay. I looked back at the surgeon and she said, Phyllis, we got this. We talked about it. We have a plan. We're going to be okay. I remember thinking to myself, yeah, easy for you to say. No one's telling you you have cancer. But I didn't say it. I just took the information in. I do remember the biggest thing. Belief is a very powerful and strong thing. So is faith. I'm so glad that I had the belief in the value that I place in God to help me get through. This was a trying time. It was horrific, I'm going to tell you. It was awful. But I had a great support system. My doctors, 6 of them, 12 nurses, 2 hospitals, and my mom and dad. I was taken care of. I met a lot of people going through the process. It was a special club. Who knew? There's a special club for people who get breast cancer that aren't 40 yet. Now I was a member. Didn't ask for it though. But that's part of my legacy. But the one thing I can say is that my belief in doing what's right, the thing my dad always told me, take care of yourself, your mind, your spirit, and your body. God will take care of you. And he did. Because I'm here. I survived. It's been 14 years now. That's me.
I have reinvented myself professionally over and over. I've worked in hospitality, food service, call centers, and social services before real estate changed my life. In 2008, the market crashed, and I was very blessed to find I was really blessed to find employment in career services for private post-secondary education. However, in 2015, that market crashed too. And the team at Heald College, we all lost our jobs overnight. And we assisted as many of the 2,800 students as we could from the parking lot. And then we started looking for work as well. I was able to transfer my skills and take a position within the workforce solutions industry. And I really enjoyed the work. I started counseling and coaching different decision makers in small business, manufacturing, agriculture, and the list goes on about what it takes to find a great candidate. And I was really surprised when I learned that the opinion of decision makers was that great candidates are super hard to find. Well, I didn't know that because my experience and the experience of my colleagues were that good jobs are really hard to find. So I started asking the question, why? Why do you think that is, that good candidates are hard to find? And the first time I heard someone say that there's a reason why people are looking for work, and that reason is typically associated with people who are terrible employees or are on the verge of getting fired themselves. It was really a shock to me, especially knowing that the pressure the hiring managers were under was threatening their jobs as well. So I started to dig a little deeper and ask, why do you think that is? Why do you think these reasons are so incongruent? I started hosting conversations with decision makers to break the stigma around what it takes for decision makers to understand how to find great candidates. I found out that a big part of the blame game was that the decision makers were also really afraid of losing their own jobs for making poor decisions or poor hiring decisions, and that they were afraid of becoming unemployed themselves. I decided that the opportunities were plentiful and that corporations and teams would absolutely interview people who pursued them rather than the typical application process. I felt certain that this information would change the game for professionals and the way that jobs were found. I was partially right. For people who believed that their opportunities would change and they were willing to try something different, they did open doors and new opportunities abounded. But for many of us, many professionals are stuck in the programming of what works in conventional wisdom, and they were not willing to put themselves outside of the traditional application scenario or writing their resumes, even though it was making them feel rejected and dismissed and making them question their skill sets. It was really unbelievable, and it changed my perspective completely, because I realized that it wasn't that there weren't enough jobs, it wasn't that there weren't enough candidates, it was the difference between programming and beliefs that were making people either successful or completely depressed. And it changed my career. The game-changing crossroads for me was deciding that every single person, whether you're a candidate, whether you're a retiree, whether you're considering to be an entrepreneur, or whether you are the employer itself, everyone has the opportunity to question their beliefs, take a look and start to pursue a mindset shift over the traditional wisdom that would say this box fits you and this box does not. And so I decided to leave corporate America after corporate America left me one more time. And I'm your freedom fighter today. I'm here to represent by example what mindset shifting looks like and how to tribe up with other people whose beliefs are more important than the reality of programming. Amen. For the people.
Two options that I live by. One, quitting is not an option. Two, well, I repeat number one, true story. So as I drift through this new life so swift, I'm like an ice skater on ice. I don't slip. I slice through this butter like a hot knife, so trip, I'm hip. Now text me what's left. Is death my only option? Rest, this moment, tonight, here in the now. This is my only option, so text. Text me the price for a new coffin, a beautiful blue suit with no pockets, a beautiful pine box, and have every one of my favorite Sacramento poets come in rocky. Stop it. I can't. I'ma hold it up over there at the brick house with Mestiza Kane. Let Tishaka the storyteller talking. Let the walls be filled with art. There's Daphne and Milton and Uncle Goss. These people in my life, they all play a part, so text. Text me the point of destination, because heaven is my point of return. So text. Text Carol of Carol's bookstore and tell her I never quit writing. Her words of wisdom, yeah, they keep me typing. They're Sharon and Curtis, Diane Foster, my mentors who burped this. I burped this on purpose. The Dead Poets Society, y'all. And it was all worth this, so text. Text me the point of destination because heaven is my point of return. My lesson here just isn't learned, so burn. Burn them ashes and spread them over Bodega Bay. Let my spirit flow through them walls of Luna and Pangea Cafe. Let it be no sorrow, let it be a fun day. Soothing melodies of Lakeisha Monday. Bayside of South Sacramento, rest in peace, Sherwood. As one we pray that tomorrow brings a better day. I have Annie J and Cleo team up and sing that Etta James track. You know, the one my Aunt Barbara used to sing back. She said, I heard church bells ring, and I heard a choir sing. And then I awoke gasping for air. I literally couldn't breathe, fighting PTSD, thinking of Uncle Goss's words of wisdom. Never look a gift horse in the mouth, son, and enjoy every breath that you breathe. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Now breathe, breathe.
I'm Jacqueline Smithson Howard, writer, poet, storyteller, published author, and until recently, creative partner to my dear friend Graffiti Bleu. I've had many crossroads in my life. 2 years ago, August, after telling the story of my dad having a stroke on stage, the very next day, I had a full stroke. And as if that wasn't bad enough, I was told that it wasn't my first full stroke. It was my second. One on both sides of my brain, 3 weeks to 3 months between each other. I thought in that moment of my dad having the stroke and my mom taking care of him. I thought about my son and realized he is not going to take care of me. I have to do something different. So I stepped into a new reality. I remember hearing Shonda Rhimes telling the story, trying to explain why she said yes to every opportunity. So I created the acronym YUM, Y-U-M, just for myself, and decided I would say yes to you and me. I went full force into life, taking accountability for the choices I've made, the decisions that I'd have to live with. I've walked half of my body weight away, improving my health immensely. I've paid off considerable debt, changing habits that no longer serve me. I've traveled abroad, and now I get to do the one thing that I love more than anything else in the world: ghostwriting. Yes, I get to tell somebody else's stories. I've been writing for a long time. My poetry books have been recognized by this Sacramento Public Library Foundation as an author on the move in 2016 and again this year in 2019. I've been featured at the Sacramento Black Book Fair for several years as a patron, as a vendor, and as a speaker. I've had the opportunity to share my poems locally on stage, radio, and television. I exist to write the right story for the right person at the right time. To do this, my yum kicks in, and I submerge myself into all kinds of new opportunities. I inspire others to think outside the box, to trigger new beliefs, to create new concepts, to set limitless boundaries for all areas of our lives. Everything is possible. Today, I see the world differently. I live through the lens of potential stories. Everybody has a story to share. Somebody needs to hear it, and somebody needs to share it. You see, somebody needs to know that what they're going through, if you've done it, they can do it too. Too many of us are taking our stories to the grave. Too many of our creative geniuses who are still here never share their miracles. It is my great honor, with the little time that I have left, to live my best life by example while having fabulous conversations with the most amazing passengers who choose to walk this path alongside of me. Thanks.
I believe the year was 1993. I was in the midst of a studio session with my New York crew. Men of exquisite talent, Moet. Yes, like the champagne. That's what we called ourselves. The engineer of this particular studio session was a man called Troy Hightower. An extremely talented man. He would go on to work with the likes of EPMD. Yet, at this particular studio session, at this particular time, something was in the air, and he felt it and I felt it. And what we both felt was that we were both on the verge of something very big. Very big meaning we were on the verge of commercial success. As far as studio sessions go, this studio session was pretty typical. Vaughn, Lynn, and Valman would lay a beat, and I would typically perform a vocal that I wrote the night before or beforehand over it. Something else would happen typically too. And that was that whatever studio we was in, the engineer would typically talk trash about my partners. Behind their backs, of course. Yet Troy Hightower's speech didn't sound different to me than any other speech. I've heard this before. Typically in the entertainment industry, everybody is stabbing everybody in the back. Everybody's trying to get over. I love your flow, he says. You're very clever with words, he also says. If you're going to make it, you may want to think about going solo. He continues and he concludes with this. I really dig your flow, but if you're going to make it in this business, you're going to have to talk about money, cash, and hoes, or else they won't respect you. This is 1992, 93, and Snoop is selling like 10 million records. So everybody on the East Coast, of course, was looking for the East Coast gangster response. And that, of course, brought me to my crossroads. I'm at the fork in the road. Sell my soul for fame and fortune. Betray my homies. Go solo. Rap about women I haven't been with, money I don't have, and gangster stuff I don't do. Or stay true to myself and stay the course. Well, the choice was obvious for me. I stayed true to who I am because I like being alive. If I rapped about that life, even though I'm not a thug and I'm not a gangster, I knew the thugs and gangsters. So if I rapped about all of that stuff, they would test me. Now, this is a very difficult thing for me to do because I'm watching all of the people around us blow up. Groups of the time like Onyx and Lost Boys, these guys used to open for us. Now, these guys are going gold and platinum. And me and my New York crew do not have a record deal. So, peer pressure, especially when you're about 22 years old, you're living in a basement apartment, you want to do whatever you can to get out of that situation, okay? The reason why Deanna told you her story, Phyllis told you her story, Malik told you his story,
and Jackie told you her story, was basically this. It is my assessment that in the first episodes of What Needs to Happen, that we can tell you wisdom and we can tell you our perspective till we're blue in the face. We can say this, that, this is what happened to me, so on and so forth. These are the pitfalls. This is my testimony. But at the end of the day, you're probably not going to listen with any fervor because you don't know who we are. We're not celebrities. I mean, some of us have a certain degree of celebrity, but you know, the Beyoncés and the Jay-Z's, we are not. So to understand this series, What Needs to Happen, episodes 1 through 7, this is now the season finale, we collectively figured to have that wisdom that we're talking about in those early episodes, to give those messages context, we would give you a piece of ourselves. This is the Crossroads. This is the season finale. Thank you for watching. Continue watching. I'm the novelist, author, poet Lamont Anthony Wright, aka Graffiti Bleu, and stay tuned for seasons 2, 3, and however many more you guys want to see. Until next time.